Okay there. Okay, now welcome to University of Toronto Developers Group series of lectures for the iOS team. And for this, pretty much your last lecture, we're going to be talking about views and parsing. So I'll just show you several available views, but there's a lot more to what I have in the slides, and just the parsing in general. We're going to be using the XML way of parsing. There's also another one called JSON, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So okay, just announcements. By this time, we've been receiving a lot of submissions already for the My Next Plus app. But if you still want to submit it, you can submit it as you can see in the first point at ios@uftdev.ca, and we hope by this time that that this lecture for lecture 3 has been already uploaded to the U of T developers account, so you can go through the first 3 lectures, and if you have questions, you can send your questions to ios@uftdev.ca, or my email, which I will just which I can type right here. You can just here. So just gonna type it here. It's number 1. So this is my name is Francis Lata, and my email is francis.lata@mail.utoronto.ca. Guess I can zoom that in if I can, or probably not. Oops, probably not. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's see here. No, doesn't work. Okay. Anyway, so pretty much, this is my email address right here. So you can send me an email there anytime. So and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay. So yeah, so this is where all the lectures are going to be going, and then if you have questions, again, send it to either Tamer at ios@uftdev.ca, or to me, Francis Lata. Just to show you again, it's francis.lata@mail.utoronto.ca. Okay, so that's for the announcements, and just one more thing. By this time, this screenshot has been updated with the demo apps, as well as this iOS resources PDF file, so you can download that and look at it in your own time. And it just points you to several what do you call it? Several resources, links to the Apple's developer website, so you can look into that and then learn more about particular things. And you can actually surf through more there. You could register there for free, and if you really want to develop, you have to actually pay for the development, and actually so you can actually use it to test your apps on real devices. Okay, so that's for that. So again, just kind of like a refresher here. We have the past 2 lectures, especially the first one. We did talk about the model view controller design pattern, which basically separates the brains, which is what we call the model in this case, and the view, which is the user interface or UI, and all the connections between the model and the view is done by the controller, and and that's pretty much the gist of what MVC is. If you need a refresher for that, just take a look at the first lecture, lecture 1 slides. It should be up on the website at www.uftdev.ca. And so just keep going here on the points here. Object-oriented programming, or OOP. Again, we have the ideas of classes, objects, and several other ideas like inheritance, etc. And then lastly, we talked about outlets and actions. So this is pretty much the wiring of, let's say, a button. When you press a button, it's going to call a particular method, and then actions is actions is basically that, and then outlets, again, you have a reference to the objects on your UI. Okay, so and then lecture 2 we just talked about it's based on the Objective C primer, so that's what the Objective C part has done. So we just introduced basic syntax, and also we did a demo app with using network services. So just basically sending some link, and then we presented that information back to the user. So basically we send a link, and then what we get back is some HTML file of how basically the web browser interprets those HTML code back to whatever you see in the browser, right, on the pages, right, where you go to. So we tested that, and so that basically leads to the idea of parsing eventually. Okay, so but first I would like to just show you. So this basically the overview. Again, I'm just gonna show you briefly some UI views that are available. Actually, UI view controller. So there's table view controller, etc. And parsing information. So we're gonna use XML here. So for these views right here, all of these include combined view controllers. So well, they call it. Remember that they call that in iOS they call it view controllers. It's named view controllers, but it's basically pretty much a view. Okay, so um, okay, so here on the very on the very start of starting from the left, okay, we have tab bar controller. As you can see at the very bottom. So you have different views as as you navigate through each of those, and a table view controller, which is basically just a bunch of rows where you can see information. But as you can see from the screenshot, there's no information as of that moment. You can see that, and at the top, generally, for this one, I actually embedded using a navigation controller. So as you can see, there's actually like three things going on there. So starting from top to bottom. So from top, the task overview title bar is basically a navigation controller. The bunch of lines. So basically, those empty rows are basically a table view controller, and the last one is a tab bar controller. So that's for that first snapshot right there. And then for the second snapshot, we have again, you cannot really see it, but we basically have again a navigation controller at the top, um, and then we have a table view controller, but organized in a group fashion. So as you can see, there's a header there, and then there's an optional header and a footer. So as you can see though in the photo that there's actually a header there. It's called a meaning, and then you have several rows again, and then there's another group. So that's one group right there, and then there's another group. So called like set alarm and location, etc., etc. Okay, so that's for the second screenshot. And again, the third screenshot just shows you again a navigation controller and a UI, another UI implementation here, UI picker. So this exact name is a UI date picker, so you can actually pick your date, your time, and then all the configuration, and then it will record it. You can assign some delegates there to actually receive those values. Okay, so that's just a general overview of the UI views. What I'm trying to get at is basically you could combine different views in one app pretty much. So you can link through storyboards. You can create, let's say when you click a row, you can actually go to another scene, or another view controller. Let's say when you press a particular information in a series of rows in a table view controller, you can actually press one and it would go to another view controller, some general view controller that displays the further information as such. Okay, so there's a bunch of them. You could combine them, and that's the whole point. So the flow mechanism of your app will be based on various views pretty much. Okay, so that's for UI views. So let's go into parsing. So basically, parsing, when we say it, it's just recognizing the incoming input from user, from the keyboard, let's say, or in our case, just the information. So the important information that we need, like in our Tamer's demo example called the iWeather, is pretty much going to Yahoo services, and then Yahoo Weather services, and then basically when the app receives the information, Tamer took out all the information, parsed through it. So basically, he went through the code and actually took off some of the important parts of the of a weather statement, pretty much. Like, so you'll need the high temperature for the whole day, the low temperature, the condition, etc. So parsing again is just the idea of actually being able to reading off specific information, and then presenting it in a user-friendly way. So that means the UI. So again, I just made this this small process here. So basically, again, this is the iWeather app. When I actually select on the UI picker right there, on the screenshot, Toronto, what will happen is that it will go to the network, and then actually send. So it's going to send it to the network, and then the network will actually come up with an XML file, including these information like 9 degrees Celsius, sunny, the lowest temperature for the day, highest, etc. And then it will get back to your request, your XML request, and it will actually, and your part is actually to parse the information, as you can see from the on the on the next square rectangle dialog right there. So you can see you will parse the information, meaning you will need to go through using we'll be using a class here, NS XML request, I believe, if I remember correctly, and eventually, as we go through the information, we'll allocate those information in some kind of array, some sort, and then actually present it in our labels. As you can see, if in this case, in the snapshot, Calgary, as of that moment when it was captured, the lowest value was -1, the highest temperature was 5, feels like -3, and the condition is cloudy. And then we'll show you how this pretty much works later on, as we progress through this lecture. So XML parsing is again, there's pretty much, I believe there's two ways you can kind of represent your web information. So there's another one called the JSON, again, JavaScript object notation. It's based on a key value pair. XML is it much looks like, if you see a raw XML file, you can actually see a pretty much kind of like an HTML format of some sort. It's based on it's a hierarchical structure, so kind of like tree based. So you'll need to traverse through it pretty much. So we'll show you that. So XML parsing again, in iOS, you'll need to traverse it using dictionary methods. So that's why in here we introduced what a dictionary is. So again, a dictionary is just pretty much a key value pair. So what we mean by that is that for every key, there's going to be a value. So I remember that the keys must actually be unique. So you cannot have two names there, two name keys. So as you can see in here, I have this structure right here in the example. So at name, so basically that string name, that literal string name is actually a key, and then the value is Francis, and then the team is a key, and then the value is iOS team. So that's how it goes pretty much. It's pretty much a one-to-one correspondence there. So for every key, there's going to be a value, and that the key is actually unique. So NSDictionary is what is called for in the foundation object, foundation class for iOS. So NSDictionary, there's two kinds. It pretty much goes for any collective data structures. So like for NS array, so there will be a NS mutable array, NS array, and then for in this case we have NSDictionary and then NS mutable dictionary. So again, mutable just means pretty much when you create when you allocate and initialize an NS mutable dictionary object instance, then what's going to happen is that when you actually set initial values there or not, it doesn't matter. You can actually modify it during runtime. So you might probably add more entries to the dictionary as you might need later on. While NSDictionary does not allow you to do that. So that's just like the only difference. So you'll have more methods offered for mutable dictionary, and note that NS mutable dictionary is actually a child class of NSDictionary. So you can actually use all the methods from NSDictionary, and there are some special methods for mutable dictionary, right? So that's just a little note there. NSDictionary methods. So we have some three instance methods, and then one class method right here. So object for a key. So you just supply it a key. like name there, and then like in my past few examples right here. So if I supply name as my key, I would get I would get Francis. Sorry there. Okay, so there you go. I would get Francis as my return value, like the literal string Francis. So just a refresher here. ID means it can point to any object instance. So that's why even the key can be anything, could be an NS number or any object instance. But I usually see it in NS strings. But again, it doesn't really matter which one it is. But it's most but many people uses the key as with a string type pretty much. So it's easier. It's human readable. And again, it returns an ID object, so meaning it can return pretty much anything, whatever the value. When this method actually goes through the NSDictionary instance, it will go through that. It will return whatever it is, whatever type it is. Okay, so that's why it's ID instead of NS string, right? Because you cannot hold an NS string on like the value, let's say age, right? So when I have a key age, the value should be some NS number type, right? Because I cannot represent it. Well, I can actually represent it by string, but if I want the number, I have to use an NS number. So that's why I return an ID instead of being specific to the return type. And all keys, again, it will just return an array of all the keys for that particular dictionary instance. And then all values just for the values. And then dictionary with object. This is a class. It's called a class method, as you can see for the plus sign, and it's actually called the convenience class constructor. So pretty much you'll supply it with an object. So it says a dictionary with objects. So again, it can be any object for key and then some key that you might choose. So that's pretty much it for the slides part. Okay, so but I would just like to actually run you through so these stuff right here. Okay, let's see here. Let's bring up Xcode. So before I show you the code, I just want to show you this. So this is pretty much the interface. You have a UI picker here, so it's just a general, not like the one that I showed you is the picker, right? So again, you just align this to every one of these selections, and it will show you whatever the weather condition for that city for that moment at this time. So so if I go here, we see there's like so basically in Montreal, this is again it's in Celsius unless I switch it to Fahrenheit. Again, you can do further optimizations from this base code. As you can see, the one of the not really a flaw, but it's one of those things that you kind of pick up that as you can see, I just pressed this and this information right here doesn't even update to a Fahrenheit conversion right there. It doesn't perform a conversion every time this happens. So it could be one thing, one improvement you can do here is basically wire up an action here and then handle some event when this value changes from on and off, etc. So basically you'll see only this happening if I press some other city and then go back here, then now it would be in Fahrenheit. Now if I want to switch back to Celsius, I got to do the same thing again, which actually it's not that user friendly. Your app users doesn't like that kind of idea. Going back and forth just to change the Fahrenheit. It must be dynamic. That when the user chooses to turn it on, it should actually go. So but besides that, there's more improvements that you can make in here. So this is just showing you like bits and pieces of the details here. So this pretty much how the app works. At the back end, you'll see how it actually retrieves the information. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so let's go through this. Okay, so I would just like to show you how the storyboard is pretty much set up here. If we can get into it. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go back here. Pretty much is a basic one right here. Let me bring up the associated view controller here. So this it's the weather view controller. Okay. Let's go to .h. Let's see. Okay. Here, we just pretty much, as you can see from these ones right here, right? These shaded circles. We've wired up some of the outlets in the storyboard. So basically, like the UI picker view, that's why we actually wire it so we can actually see what the user actually have selected on the picker. So like if I select Toronto, eventually I can just grab the property from the property here that that they selected Toronto from there, etc., etc. So we have the labels, so we can actually have access to those so that we can display them. Um, Condition again is just a label, and then the switch UI switch is just basically a flickering on and off bool value pretty much here. So that's why you can see it's an IV outlet here for everything here. So that's that for the weather view controller. .h. So again, just pretty much basic. We synthesize everything from again back to step one. So remember, every property should be synthesized. Okay. Okay. So we'll go down there. Okay. So picker view. Okay. So picker view has actually have what is called a delegate. Um, we would like to actually for you to look through um, these the concept of delegation and protocol. So let me just switch back to this. Okay. So for this picker to work, you'll need to be a delegate to that. So what it means to be a delegate is in iOS programming is that you want to be um, a how do you say it? You want it to be responsible for handling certain events defined in this delegate. So I believe it's this. Okay. It's pretty much it's a protocol. So it's defined as a protocol in UI picker view.h. So if you go into that source, you'll see there's actually some protocol defined. So when you create a protocol and someone actually becomes a delegate of it, so what this means is that um, all the methods that are actually defined here must be implemented. So there are some. So basically, in a protocol, you can define required and optional methods that the delegate must implement. So obviously, required must be required, or you will have compiler warnings when you actually try to build your application. And optional is again is optional for for further options. So you'll see this idea of a data source. So data source right here and delegate concept in other actually view controllers such as a table view controller. So that's one thing. There's many more. Okay. So and you can see it in other UI objects pretty much like UI in other UI views pretty much like this the picker view. I forgot the other ones, but again, you can see this idea of delegation and protocols going going in iOS. So these are more like a design pattern ideas here. So delegation is a design pattern basically. So I would suggest for you to take a look into delegation protocols if you don't know that. But pretty much that's the heart of how this um, picker works. So that's that. So what I'm saying here is this is one of the methods in UI picker view, the protocol, number of components in picker view. So number of components in picker view. So you can have different. I don't know if you remember correctly. Let's point it out here. In this slide, this is a component right here. This is one component. This is another component. This is another component. Another component. So basically, there's going to be 4 components here, right? In here, well, what it's just saying here is that there's going to be only one of those sections. So like that component, so there's going to be just one of these. There's no dividing things right here, right? So that's pretty much it. So this is return 1. So NSDictionary just returns 1. So basically, I'm going to tell the picker view, oh hey, just have one component. That's it. Okay. In here in this one, it says in that particular component. So again, there's just only one, so you can disregard that. But if you have different components, then you'll have to actually um, manage like how many rows you should have for each component. So in here we're being dynamic. We're telling so this is a class method, you can tell, because weather right here is defined as a class. So this is a class method, number of cities. It will return whatever number of cities you can only allocate. So um, so in this case, it will return 3 because, as you saw, there's only 3 cities available. You can expand it furthermore and then enhance it if you wanted to. So we leave that to you as an exercise. So, but for now, the idea here is that we don't hard code how many a number of rows they want. It's because as you update your database, and then when you actually improve this overall app, that you can actually just ask the user, oh, which city did you want? You can query the number, etc., etc. Then you can then what this allows you to do is you don't really need to hard code it. So that's the whole point of it. So it will return whatever this method call is, this class method messaging does. So whatever it returns, it will just return it. So basically, it just tells in that only one component, because I just said here it's just only one, return in this case 3. So it will return 4 when you add something, then it's gonna keep going. Now this is another one. Again, it just tells you, so for that particular row and then for that component, again, tell me what to put into to that particular row. So so again, this is a class method. It will go through some array of some sort given the index that on that array. So basically, for Toronto, or I believe it's Toronto, or Calgary, it's going to go for 0, 1, and 2, etc., etc. So it's basically going to return some string that will actually be displayed on the app itself. So let me just try to run here again. So right here, this text is basically being generated through here. And then I did select row. Okay, so now this is more like an event here happening. So basically, if the picker view is been actually touched, so basically if if I just touch it here, select this selection right here, this method will be triggered in the view controller. So later on, you'll see the definition of this, or actually it's right here in our next discussion right here. So this final method right here, there's instance method, update weather with index. So given the index, what it's just basically doing is that given what do you call it, weather instance object here. So you have a temperature for city. So given whatever city you've selected, this method will basically extract from the city, query the Yahoo weather services, and then with the unit. So basically whatever unit, if you have actually chosen Fahrenheit or Celsius, it will say that too. Okay. And then after that, it just basically displays, using a string, label low dot text is just going to display, the weather's low, like whatever you retrieve from that, using the weather object instance called weather, pretty much. So it will just retrieve those using properties, or you could go like today weather, or you could, possibly go like let's see here, weather. So you could go let's see. Kind of copy here, ns string, etc., etc., and then you go here. You could also make a call like this, weather today low. So you can do that if you wanted to, but again, I'm just showing you like alternatives. Just basically, this is pretty much properties if you wanted to know about it. So it just displays it, everything that it needs, every information that it needs, to display. We'll capture it here. So that's that. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the brain. So the model right here. So it's .h. Okay, there you go. So now in a weather, so thinking about it, if you think from from the outside right here, you're gonna see that there's actually four things that we actually need to keep track of, like what a weather a weather information should contain. So in our case, we're gonna take the today's low and then today's high, as well as the description, like if it's cloudy, etc., and then the fields like temperature there. So we made it integer, and then this is an NS string, and again it's an integer here for the fields like. Now here we're gonna do set up the class and then just an instance method. So we have two class methods. I think you have seen it in the view controller .env file right here. It's called number of cities. Again, it will return the number of cities that it has, as well as the 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 city title. Pretty much, we'll see the array later on that of where it references to based on the index. So again, for row 0 on the picker view, it's gonna return Calgary of some sort, or like Toronto, etc. So and then this temperature for city, this actually is the brain of the calculation. So I mean not the parsing of the information pretty much. So we'll see the um, of how this works pretty much. So just a quick note again. We are on a delegate, so basically NSXML parser delegate is actually telling is actually telling if you create an instance of NSXML parser and you tell yourself to be a delegate, you'll need this is just for actually for compilers, for the compiler itself, for the for the compiler for Xcode for when building it. This actually allows you this reminds you to actually implement several methods when you become a delegate. Eventually, you can actually remove this, but again, for conventions, keep this in mind. So when you're becoming a delegate, you must put it in the header file to be marked as, oh, I'm going to be a delegate here. So that's for the .h file for the weather, for the brain of the program. We can go here. As you can see, we declared some static NS arrays here, a couple of them, and one NS string and a boolean value. So again, the first one will keep the cities. City code is actually just for the Yahoo sorry just for the Yahoo code. So what this means is that Yahoo assigns a city code for for each of the cities around North America, etc. Wherever wherever the weather is available, service is available. So and then we'll actually pass it in as one of the parameters. So this link that you can see here is actually the required parameters. So if you pretty much know what the how the HTTP requests work pretty much, you'll understand why this makes sense. Pretty much what it's just trying to say is that go to the internet and actually use this particular link, and then go back and then get back to me when you actually receive the XML values. I'll show you how the XML looks like for a particular city. So this just takes two parameters, the pretty much the weather city code right here, which is going to be placed here, so whatever you selected here, and the unit, so basically if it's Celsius for Fahrenheit. So again, initialization process here. Init classes, so this basically, again, it just initializes with with static values pretty much, so like Toronto, Calgary, Montreal. I mean, you can expand this more, or again, you can improve this whole app. You can ask the user for a particular city, and then you can actually keep all the city codes that the Yahoo weather requires for you, so that they can give you the information about that city's weather, right? So you can do that. Okay. So again, just allocating two arrays using those static variables here, top. And then number of cities, again, number of cities, it just counts how many cities, so how many objects are in the city's array. So basically, again, there's 3. And then city at index, this basically goes, again, this is being used as the title for each of the picker values. So basically for Toronto, it will actually get the based on the index, it will go, okay, so basically what it's going to do is it's going to go for object at index 0, it's going to return Toronto. At 1, it's going to go Calgary, etc., etc. So that's how you actually pretty much how you retrieve those title names and being placed with the picker. And then temperature for city. Okay. So when the picker right here, I believe in here, pretty much, okay, right. So so when I select something on the picker view, it's gonna call this method, which is actually here, just below it. It's going to be it's gonna create a weather instance, and it's actually gonna pass which row in the particular picker view has been selected, as well as the chosen unit. You know, if it's a Fahrenheit, again, we just check here if the switch is basically on the on one, then it's going to be Fahrenheit, and then otherwise it's going to be in Celsius. So basically, we just pass those two information that we need, and call it on that instance of the weather instance object. Okay, let me go back here, and we're going to see that that we actually use the city index, so whatever the argument that they pass in. So I'm gonna go through the city code array, and then look for, let's say I chose Calgary, and then we'll go to 8775, again, just retrieves it for us. And then after that, it's going to actually form up the URL with pretty much the two arguments, so 8775 here, and then C, let's say, for Celsius, right? And then after that, we need to form an NSURL instance to actually with the string, you know, with the URL string above filled in with all the information, because in the next step, NSXML parser, again, this is the our parser here. We're using XML notation here, so we'll need to initialize it with some URL class. So that's why we need to create this URL first before we can actually send it to the NSXML parser. Parser.delegate tells again, this pretty much says to the XML parser class that, hey, since I declared a parser NSXML parser instance, then basically I want to be a delegate. So basically, when it gets back to me, I want to read off the information. That's pretty much your goal of parsing, right? So that's why you'll need to say parser.delegate equals self. And then parser, again, the parser is just an XML parser instance. And then parse, so basically it's just gonna go and, hey, parse this, okay? When it gets back to you, eventually it will get back to you. This is, remember that there is a synchronous work here. So meaning there's no concurrent there's no threads going on here. What I mean is that if this is being if you're parsing a lot of information, not because this one is way too small, so it's hard to see. But if you have a lot of information going into the network, you're retrieving something, and then you go parse it, then what's going to happen is that it's going to take a while to actually parse. So, you know, if you have like a large, like a 5,000, some database that you're actually trying to parse on, then what's going to happen is that you will be pretty much lagging on the user UI. So basically, I cannot go through the other cities while that is parsing. So that's another issue in this program. But it's negligible in this case, because again, it's just retrieving a small amount of information. But if you work as larger and larger, you'll in larger projects, then you'll actually see the effect of it. So that's another improvement in here. In here, parser is, again, same idea for picker view, where it being a delegate. So in this case, there's this method in the, I believe, NSXML parser.h file. There's a protocol, and then it actually has this to be required, and it will actually go through the elements, right? So let me show you how this really works. So let's go here. Okay, so let's go here. Oops. Selected. I didn't want that. Okay. That's fine. Okay, anyway, let's just open another here. So if I go here, but first I'm gonna take let's say Calgary's weather. I don't know, I just made an example here. So I'm gonna replace it with that and Celsius. So basically what's happening is that I'm kind of simulating what's happening of when I actually when the app actually sends the link. So basically, if I select Calgary, this is what the link looks like. So it tells here, oh, it's on Calgary. This is just, again, the number and Celsius. Ooh. So if I go here, you'll see it's an XML file. Again, it looks like HTML. If I can show you a page from HTML. Again, you know, it's just XML HTML file here. But we'll go back to it. So this is basically what we get, what we receive from the website. from Yahoo services, weather services. So for Calgary, here, let's look at it side by side. Here. That's working here. So, okay. Be hard to see here, but here we'll go down here. Did start element. This again, this parser, NSXML parser delegate method has some several things here. So if you want to actually go through the certain parts of this XML file that you receive, you'll actually have to kind of do some if statements here. Like in this case, for an element. So what we mean by an element again is just these things right here. So channel is an element, then title is an element, links an element. So eventually we'll go here. So what's happening is that hey, when it gets back to you, it will get back to each one of these lines. So basically RSS. If you have not handled that case for that particular element name, then we'll actually skip that and go to the next one. So basically, if we go through this process, remember that we're only handling wind, this weather forecast element, and then that's pretty much it. So there's only two things that we need. So here, so if we go kind of like traverse through this very quick, it's gonna go to RSS. Hey, RSS is not here. Then go channel. Oh, you're not handling that case. There's again, we're just gonna ignore that, right? And then we're gonna go title. Oh, hey, okay, you didn't want that. Okay, it's not gonna go through. I believe what's happening is that since I believe this is a child. You see right there. This is pretty much a child. Let's see here. I'm just gonna try this. Oh, okay. So it has not been organized by. Because I was thinking it was more like it is more of a hierarchical thing, but in this case it doesn't look like it. I believe so. Because it's just grouping it pretty much by each of these elements right here. This whole tag right here. So in here we're just gonna go through. So RSS channel, title, link, description, language, last build date, etc., etc. Then when we get to wind, as you can see here, wind right here. Okay. As you can see here for the wind, we handle that case right here. It's going. What it says here. Oh, hey. When you handle that case, for me, as you can see, I'm just gonna make this more clear. Okay. Since I hit that part, I hit that tag right here. Hey, I want to get it's a dictionary again. For every key. So our key is chill, direction, and speed equals value, some value like -10, 0, and then 0, right? So if I go attribute dictionary, so this attribute dictionary variable again is provided. It's this basically this attribute dictionary part. I believe I can bring it up right here on the debugger when we're running it. Let's see here. So as you can see here, attribute dict. As you can see, it just traverses through, right? You can see, as you can see, RSS channel, title, link, description, language, TTL. Weather location. So at those points, you can see how it actually works it out. So why weather? Oh, hey, attribute dictionary contains these things. So for the key chill, there's gonna be a value -10, direction 0, speed 0. So the whole point is actually just just using this dictionary method. So object for key. So for the chill key, I'm gonna get 10, and then you have to do int value again because you want to get the integer value of that, right? So that's that. And then for forecast, as we go down, I believe it should be down here. Forecast, if I can see it correct, right here. So forecast. For the forecast, we're gonna retrieve again other values again just using object for key. So meaning for object forecast right here, so the first one that we see, okay, so I'm gonna take that value, I'm gonna take this value, and I'm gonna take partly cloudy. So pretty much low, high text. So as you can see, it's just low, high, and text pretty much here. So there's three things going on. This one did element here just been placed just in case when you ended the element tag. So I mean the tag itself. So meaning if you actually encounter this part, then what are you going to do? Then in this case, we don't handle that case. So that's pretty much it. The brains of what this whole app is about is just pretty much in here, handling delegate methods, specific delegate methods. You can search these up by just going through the documentation and API reference, and that's pretty much it for parsing. So XML parsing, you can know more about XML, what it is, through Google, get search it up. But and I just pointed out several things here. So basically, I just went through some UI views in general for the lecture, and I just pretty much went through the the general UI views here, and then how it really works. What I mean by that is that the parsing of the information right here. So basically, that's the idea of XML parser. Again, you'll have to work with different classes in this case for if you're parsing in JSON. I believe there's an NSJSON I believe JSON serialization class for parsing JSON files. Files. Okay. So that's for lecture 3 pretty much. If you can improve this app in many ways, as thinking of as a client, as a app user's perspective, you can really improve all the things that I just pointed out, and there's a lot more to be improved. Okay, so those are the first 3 lectures, and again, if you have any questions, just give us a contact here. So that's me, and probably type Tamer's here. So Tamer's email is iOS@t.ca. So send us questions if you have any questions for the My Next Bus app. So just keep submitting that, and thank you.